So Man United have really struggled quite a lot this season, and I think a massive reason for this has been Casemiro's decline. He hasn't performed to levels that he did last season, where he was probably our most essential player. As we've been linked with a few midfielders recently, I want to have a look at a few players who I think could be well suited to that Casemiro-like role. I don't want any of you to think about transfer fees or wages or anything like that. This is just my ideal scenario of the kinds of players I would want to bring in if I had a say in transfers. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. The first player I want to have a look at is Youssouf Fofana from Monaco. I think this is one of the more realistic midfield options that we'll sign this summer, because he wouldn't cost a ridiculous amount of money. According to Transfer Market, he's worth around €30 million or around £26 million. So if we can get him for around that sort of price range, I think that'd be very good value for money. He would bring a lot of energy to our midfield, which would benefit us out of possession, because at the minute, even with our best players, we really tend to struggle without the ball. So having a player like Fofana, I think, would ease the workload of our other two midfielders. I also really like his aggression and physicality, and I think those are two really important aspects of his game. He usually operates as more of a box-to-box type midfielder, so he probably wouldn't be a direct replacement for Casemiro per se, but I also think he could play a variety of different roles at United. I think we would get the best out of this player if we gave him the freedom to attack and defend, similarly to how Kobbie Mainoo plays for us. Something I also think will benefit United is his passing ability. He's effective at short, medium and long range passing. Furthermore, he's press resistant, which is another thing I think would help us in possession. He's also pretty good defensively in my opinion, and he's effective at using his body strength to hold off players. And another thing I also noticed about him whilst watching his highlights is his ability to quickly turn away from players when he has the ball. Like I say, he could play a variety of different roles at United. However, I think Kobbie Mainoo would end up being pushed further back as more of a defensive player, while Fofana would operate as a box-to-box midfielder. And then you obviously have Bruno Fernandes as the attacking midfielder. So like I said, he's probably one of the more sensible options on this list. The only issue I have with this signing is the fact that he's not solely a defensive player. And in my opinion, we need a player who could just sit in front of the defence. And I don't think Fofana is 100% the right player to do that. So the next player I want to go over is Joao Neves. Now I want to talk about this player because we've been heavily linked with him for quite some time now. So Neves primarily plays as more of a deep line midfielder who operates in a double pivot within Benfica's 4-2-3-1 formation. So if he ends up coming to United, he would most likely play a similar role as part of a midfield too. I really like his tackling ability, especially for someone his age, being just 19 years old as of recording this. He's also got that aggression and physicality that would be so valuable to our current squad. Something I also like about Joao Neves, similarly to Fofana, is his versatility. He could probably play a more defensive role as a 6, or maybe he could play more advanced in the number 8 position, which I think is more likely. But I think he has all the qualities and traits to play in either of those two positions, so we might just have to wait and see. Neves is also really good at keeping the ball under pressure with his press resistance, and he also possesses really good passing abilities as well. As I said before, he's 19 years of age at the time of recording this. And I think he's the kind of player that we want to sign under Ineos, where we sign young players and develop them, like we're currently doing with Rasmus Højlund for example. However, an issue I would have with this signing is because of the fact he's so young, and his price tag would be north of £50 million. I think Benfica are actually hoping to receive £85 million for the young lad. If that's the case though, I would just say forget about it. We need to strengthen in other positions, so I reckon just buy someone cheaper. But nonetheless, I think it'd be quite an interesting transfer. So, the ideal player that I would sign in that defensive midfielder role is Amadou Onana from Everton. Now, I've been doing a lot of research on this player lately, and he's got some qualities and traits that would massively improve our midfield and squad as a whole. Now, obviously, Onana would play purely as a ball-winning defensive midfielder. He's an absolute monster off the ball when it comes to his tackling. He has really long legs which he uses to wrap around players to get the ball back off them, and he's also really good at intercepting passes from the opposition as well. He also creates space for his teammates to run into, which would be a massive part of our attacks. Not only that, he stands at about 6'3" as well, so he's very dominant in the air, which I think could be another way he could win the ball back with his giant frame and physicality. And we would have a player who's really good off the ball, which would really help us out of possession. We're a team that really struggles without the ball, so having a player like Onana in our team would be very good to have. In terms of the price tag, with the financial situation that Everton are in, needing to sell players, I think we could maybe get him for around 40 to 50 million quid. I don't think we would have our pants pulled down like we have on numerous other signings, but at the same time he wouldn't exactly be cheap. Now, I understand I mentioned Joao Palhinha in a previous video, but after thinking about it for a while, I don't think Sir Jim and Ineos want to sign players nearing 30 for big transfer fees, which should be a given really. We would need to move fast on this deal though, because Arsenal are reported to be interested in signing this player as well. If you have any other players you would sign, or if you would just keep Casemiro, then leave your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as it really does help the channel. Before I go, I just wanted to quickly say thank you all for 400 subscribers, it really does mean a lot. Anyway, I don't really have anything else to say, so I'll see you in the next video.